Today, I'll be looking at whether $1.2 million in pre tax savings is enough to retire on at age 59. Over my years helping hundreds of clients navigate early retirement decisions, I've developed specific frameworks to help evaluate whether pre tax savings alone can support retirement before traditional retirement age. That's exactly why I'm making this video today, to show you how to determine if $1.2 million in pre tax accounts is sufficient for retirement at 59 and what factors will make or break your plan. Let's get right into it. Let me tell you about a couple I recently worked with named John and Susan. John just turned 59 and Susan was not far behind him at age 58. They had done a fantastic job saving for retirement, accumulating $1.2 million, all stored in pre-tax retirement accounts like a 401k and their traditional IRAs. On paper, it felt like they were doing everything right, but at the same time, they were feeling increasingly worn down by their demanding careers. Over the past few years, John's job in middle management was started to get increasingly stressful, working long hours, and Susan was growing tired too, looking forward to the idea of retirement after being in decades of education. They were contemplating early retirement, but quickly ran into a problem that their entire nest egg was in pre-tax retirement accounts, and they weren't sure exactly how to access that money before retirement, a traditional retirement age, without facing penalties or hefty taxes. So, like many others who are trying to retire early, they turn to online calculators, trying to get some answers. But each one gave a different version, leaving them very confused and frustrated. They simply just wanted to know, hey, does $1.2 million genuinely support potentially up to 30 years of retirement? So they started to piece together different strategies from online articles and forums. And the deeper they went, the more overwhelmed they became, especially when they started to factor in the fact that they wouldn't have healthcare coverage and they would have this gap before Medicare started at age 65. So despite doing everything right, saving consistently, living below their means, not taking on unnecessary debt, John and Susan, they were pretty stuck. Their $1.2 million once felt like a big accomplishment, but made them really doubt whether retirement was a possibility, simply because they lacked a clear, personalized retirement income plan. But as I'll soon show you, clarity is achievable. Now, if you feel like you're in a similar situation to John and Susan, where you don't know if you can retire, head down to the description after the video where you'll answer a few questions and receive a personalized advice to your exact situation. So now that you've seen how this was impacting John and Susan, this next piece is specifically important because I'm going to cover exactly how they navigated this situation and figured out if they're able to retire with their $1.2 million in pre-tax savings. So to make this detailed demonstration, we first have to outline the most critical questions I reviewed with John and Susan so you can also answer them to help yourself. These questions form the foundation for your retirement decision-making process. So first, I asked them, what essential monthly expenses do you currently have that you expect to continue in retirement? These are regular expenses like housing or utilities, food, insurance, etc. This is going to form your retirement baseline. Next, I asked them, what previous financial advice made you feel like you weren't able to pull the trigger and retire yet? Sometimes there are misconceptions that have a simple but truthful and tailored answer to their situation to help you move forward with clarity. And next, what lifestyle goals or discretionary spending do you envision for your retirement, like travel, hobbies, eating out, or gifting to others? And this is the exciting part, right? Because retirement isn't just about surviving, it's thriving. Next, I ask, what is your planned retirement age, and are you considering the gap in healthcare costs before starting Medicare at age 65? For many people, this gap is very intimidating, but frankly, it's quite manageable. And finally, I asked, what sources of retirement income do you currently have beyond your nest egg, such as Social Security, pensions, or other assets? These extra income streams can dramatically affect your retirement planning strategy. Now let's bring these answers to life visually using financial planning software so you can clearly see how we analyze their retirement readiness. So first, let's enter their essential monthly expenses. John and Susan said that they needed around $5,500 per month or $66,000 per year for their basic expenses, the mortgage, utilities, groceries, gas, etc. And next, we tackled those misconceptions. John had read generalized financial advice claiming that he needed at least $2 million before retirement. And frankly, this is another fallacy I see of people seeing Google as leading their financial plan, where it's next to impossible to find guidance that truly pertains to you when you have such abstract benchmarks such as $2 million or the 4% safe withdrawal rate. So we entered in this $1.2 million into the software to see precisely how far that would realistically take them. And then we factor in those lifestyle goals, those dreams of traveling in an RV across the country to visit those national parks, or even just dining out and their regular hobbies. So they estimated that this would take another $2,000 a month. So this bumps up our $5,500 to $7,500 a month, or $90,000 per year. Now, I didn't forget about healthcare costs, which is significant. Retiring now at age 59 and 58 meant that they needed to get private healthcare until Medicare. So, based on our estimates, that was going to cost them around $600 each, $1,200 per month collectively. And so we've added that in there as well. And finally, we clarified any additional income streams. Susan, in particular, had a pension that would provide around $1,500 a month starting at her age 62. And they both planned on delaying their Social Security until their full retirement age of 67, which was going to amount to around $4,000 combined per month. Now, I know what you're thinking. Even a caveman can enter these numbers into a software. How hard can it be? Well, the key is leveraging the planning strategies that make this possible for John and Susan. So I'm going to walk you through 4 insights that allow them to remove barriers and actually make the leap. First, leveraging the Rule 55. A significant worry for John was how he could access his 401k savings before the traditional age of 59 and a half without penalties. Because he planned to retire after age 55, we leveraged this rule of 55, allowing penalty-free withdrawals from a 401k if retirement occurs anytime from age 55 to 59 and a half, provided this money stays in the company plan. No 10% penalties keeps more of their $1.2 million in their pocket rather than the IRS's. I like to think of this overlooked rule as your VIP pass that lets you skip the long line of penalties and directly access your retirement savings early. The second insight was managing the healthcare costs. Managing healthcare costs before Medicare is costly, but it isn't prohibitively so. Many pre-retirees mistakenly prolong their careers purely out of fear of these costs. I encourage my clients not to let the tail wag the dog. And although this can be a costly period of time, many times it's not worth delaying retirement just because of this. Our software clearly demonstrates that even the $1,200 monthly healthcare cost, while significant, is easily tolerated by their retirement income strategy. Reframing their perception, viewing healthcare as not an obstacle, but as a manageable, temporary expense, unlocked their broader retirement plan. You wouldn't just cancel a road trip just because of some road construction at the beginning of it, right? The third insight we talked about was a dynamic and precise withdrawal strategy. Initially, the financial planning software suggested that we withdraw an even 4% annually from their $1.2 million nest egg, around $48,000 a year. Coupled with Susan's pension income starting at age 62 and them starting their Social Security at age 67, here's how we actually structured their income. In the first few years, they're withdrawing purely from their retirement accounts until Susan's age 62 when her pension kicks in. And then that lasts until their age 67 when they both start their Social Security at full retirement age, reducing the amount that they have to withdraw from their retirement accounts even further. This flexible withdrawal strategy is key because it allows them to see how their nest egg fares when taking a much higher amount in the first few years before they taper off with the other income sources. The key to handling withdrawals is like turning on a faucet. You want to control your flow so your resources don't dry up prematurely. The fourth insight we helped them through was strategic Roth IRA conversions. Converting their pre-tax savings into Roth IRAs during their low-income early retirement years means they could pay significantly less taxes over their lifetime. Importantly, this also means future withdrawals from these Roth IRAs would be entirely tax-free for those large planned or unplanned expenses that otherwise feel like a huge tax gut punch. Roth conversions allow them to stretch their dollars even further, like you're getting every drop out of a lime. In fact, in their strategy, it projects that they'll have over $300,000 more in assets at the end of their plan than if they had not done Roth conversions at all. And I thought this was interesting. Even by their age 70, it's projected that their Roth IRA assets are going to be larger than those inside of their pre-tax retirement accounts, which they started with off in the first place. And with these strategies clearly outlined and modeled, we can now tell in the financial planning software that it works. John and Susan said that they could finally confidently retire. The stress and uncertainty lifted immediately when they saw not only these numbers, but the planning strategies that we clearly demonstrated. This projection, which shows a Monte Carlo analysis of over 1,000 different best of the best and worst of the worst projections, shows that the median outcome is confident. They should be able to have up to $1.1 million by the end of this projected plan at their age 95. John and Susan came into meeting with me feeling anxious and uncertain about their retirement prospects, and then by the end of our conversation, they left feeling confident and empowered, feeling fully prepared to step into an abundant and fulfilling retirement. And not only could they retire confidently, but their plan was robust, tax efficient, and sustainable. Now that you know how to evaluate whether your $1.2 million in pre-tax savings can support retiring at age 59, you can make more informed decisions about your own retirement timeline. But if you want more help with your retirement plan, I've put together an entirely free retirement assessment that will help give you personalized insights about your retirement readiness. It walks through the exact same process I use with clients, and at the end of it, you'll receive a video from me personally guiding you through the next steps towards planning a successful retirement. You can get started right now by clicking the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.